back to another cooking video, and today, man, I'm in the mood for the islands, and nothing speaks islands to me like pumpkin soup from Jamaica. So we have today a nice little pie pumpkin. You can use butternut squash, acorn squash, any of those work. We're going to use some of this adobo seasoning, water in a pot, some coconut milk. We're going to use the cock soup mix, but we're going to filter it out. We don't want the rice that's in there. It's a really, really good flavor. And I'm going to do a little bit of onion because I am going to puree this at the end. So the family will all like the flavor. They just won't like the chunks of onion. So that is the plan. We're going to start with getting our pumpkin cut up and prepped and start to boil it in the water. Get some good flavor in that stock. All right, so we're going to go ahead and prep the pumpkin. Now, unlike Halloween time when you're trying to preserve these and keep them looking a certain way, we're doing this for maximum ease. So we're going to take this and just cut it right down the middle. That's the plan. I've got a big size knife here. I'm first going through the stem, and then we're just going to go right on down through here. There we go. Do this the night. Ooh, it smells so good. All right, so we have our two sides here, and we're just going to go ahead and start by scooping out the seeds. Obviously, that's not something we want in here. I like to get all the stringy part of the pumpkin out. Now, this is going to be a little sweeter than a lot of others, especially given the coconut milk we're going to put in it. Feel free to use butternut squash. Most times I make this, I make it with the big green acorn squash. But, listen, 'tis the season, right? It is the end of October. It's getting close to Thanksgiving, and people are ready for some good pumpkin pie. And this is what you'd make pumpkin pie out of. So these are rather sweet compared to some of those other fall gourds, if you will. All right, let me just clean these out, and then I'll show you how we're going to prepare this. Now, you don't have to get this completely clean, but you do want to get the majority of the stringy parts out, just because they're a little bit stringy. We don't want those in the soup.
Over here. Yeah, right here. Hey, do me a favor. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more like it, subscribe to the channel and click on that little bell notification so you get notified of new videos. Thanks.
All right, once we have these cleaned up, it's now just a matter of prepping the pumpkin. All we want to do is chunk it up into pieces that are, you know, 1 inch or 2 in size. There's no great way of doing this, so I would just suggest you cut them up in sort of like slices. I'm gonna quarter this. Cut the stem off here. And have a good sharp knife because, man, these winter squashes are not simple to work with. And now I'm going to just cut this in probably 3 sort of pieces here. What I want to do is chunk these things up in such a way that I can just sort of cut the skins off of them. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this. You could scoop it out. You could use a peeler. But at the end of the day, you just want to get this outer rind off of it. It's going to be a little bit bitter. Whew, that took a little bit. All right, next thing we want to do is we're going to put a little bit of onion in here. I just have a half an onion. It's what I had laying around. And I'm just going to chop these up. Now remember, because we're going to be blending this, for my family members inside that are not big fans of onions, that's okay. They won't taste this. Or they should taste it. They just won't have the texture of it, which is really their issue. And this will all be blended when it's done. So sadly, the rest of the family just walked out here to see that happening. I'd have preferred them not to have seen that since they don't like onions. Next thing we're going to do is add in some of this Grace cock soup. I know, terrible name, but great flavor. Great Jamaican flavor for sure. All right, I lied about the rest of the family not liking onion. Chastity just came over and grabbed some, so she must like onion. All right, if you have a humidity issue, maybe she doesn't like it looking at her face.
That smells really good.
Yeah. If you have a humidity issue like we do down here in southern Florida, be careful. Your soup mix might be a little chunky. So I'm actually pushing it down through this mesh. And the reason I'm using this mesh is this soup mix has rice in it. I don't want rice in here. So we are just getting the seasoning in here. I'm going to add in some of this adobo seasoning. I really like this Goya adobo. It's got really good flavor. I'm going to add some of that in. We'll add in some water, just enough to cover these. We'll boil it for maybe an hour, hour and 15 minutes until these are all fork tender. At that point, we'll go ahead and blend it up, add in our coconut milk, and let it simmer and thicken up. All right, I went ahead and filled it with water just over the top of the actual pumpkin. And now we're going to go ahead and start this. And thank you, Hurricane Ian, apparently my auto starts aren't working on the grill. So, let's see if we can get this going here. There we go. We're just going to cover this up, leave just a little bit open so steam can escape. Like I said, we'll let this go for probably about an hour or so, and then we'll come back out and check it out. All right, our soup has been on for about an hour. I just went ahead and stuck a knife into the pumpkin, and it's nice and soft. So we are now at a point where we're going to go ahead and take it off of the grill, and we're going to grind it up. I have a nice blender here. We're just going to mix it up in that. You can use an immersion blender, or frankly, you can just use a potato masher, but I really want to get those onions all completely incorporated in there so the family will eat it. So I'm going to go ahead and use this, this blender. I'll put this right up here. Oh my God, does it smell good. And then I'm just going to use a big spoon here and start to get these chunks of pumpkin right out of here. Now I'm going to also put some liquid in here, but I want to make sure I get as much of this pumpkin as I can in there. And when I say tender, I mean it's just falling apart like you would expect a potato consistency to be right before you were going to mash it. Does it remind you of the islands? This reminds me so much of Jamaica, so much.
Yeah.
Ooh, I think I'm going to have that pretty darn full. Okay.
Look like you get it right on the
Siri
button.
here. Let me know if I can help.
Thanks, Siri. I wasn't talking to you. On tape. I'm just going to take this inside and we'll blend it. We'll come right back out here, put it back in the pan, and show you the next step. So it definitely needs to thicken up a little bit, but man, oh man, this is going to be good. I'm just going to go ahead and put 1 can of coconut milk in here, and this gives it a nice richness. I'm probably going to do about 3/4. Hell, we'll just do the whole can. And now we will go ahead and put it back on the stove, on the burner, and we'll continue to cook this on a low temperature. All we want to do is let this start to thicken up, and I'll open the cover a little bit more so some of the steam escapes out, and this gets a beautiful, luscious color and thickness. All right, we're just going to go ahead and put this on low and mix it up. And you can see the coconut milk in there, coconut cream. That looks phenomenal. We're just going to put the cover on this and let it get back up to temperature. So we went ahead and uncovered this pumpkin soup, and we've got it on low. We've been mixing it up, and what it's doing is it's evaporating some of the liquid. It's now getting down to just about the consistency we want, which is just not quite like a thin gravy, but man, it is so flavorful. Oh, it brings me right back to the islands. Right back to the islands. I love it. All right, y'all. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to bring it in. We have company over today. We're going to enjoy. Thanks, everybody. Safe and happy grilling. We'll see you next time.